like that ain't.
You're feeling bad. You're feeling like you're not enough.
Because you are a warrior.
Now is the time for strength. And through strength and through will and through unwavering discipline, I will become what I want to be. I will become who I want to be. And then, and only then, will I rest and say no more.
What do you do when death comes to your door? When sadness and sorrow comes and accompanies it? When the person that you looked up to the most is gone, the person you were closest to is gone? How do you channel that grief into something that can give you relief? What you do is you buckle down. In order to buckle down, you gotta dress up for battle. You gotta remember that you're a soldier and that life still has purpose and value and need, and it needs you. Your skill set is still fresh, your talents are still available, your head knowledge is still useful. You have to be able to get in gear, get in position, and remember your ranking, your calling, and rely upon the training of life that you've been given, and step into the arena of life and be ready for war because you are a warrior. What can you become? What can you do with the time that you have? Tomorrow's not promised, so we have to do it today. We have to make a decision right here, right now. Will you be someone that can overcome grief? Can you find relief by finding your purpose in life? Can you believe again? Can you dream again? Can you love again? The answer is absolutely yes, because you are a warrior.
The thing that's so interesting about being alive is that you're all in. No matter what you do, you're all in. This is going to kill you. So I think you might as well play the most magnificent game you can while you're waiting. Because do you have anything better to do? Why not pick the best thing possible that you can do? Because you're more powerful than you think. Way more powerful than you think. I mean, God only knows what you are in the final analysis. You're blind to your own weaknesses, but you're also blind to your own strengths. How far can you take that? If you stopped wasting time, and if you stopped lying, and if you oriented yourself to the highest possible good that you could conceive of, and you committed to that, how much good could you do? Well, I would say, why don't you find out?
We're all looking for this golden purpose. Is it this? Is it that? Is it making money? Is it my family? Motherfucker, the purpose is you. Every fucking day I wake up and I don't want to do some fucking shit. I'm like, okay, man, do you want to be a bitch today? Do you want to walk around all day knowing that you could, but you didn't? You're in the fucking dungeon, but guess what, motherfucker? I'm still going to get it.
Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all telling ourselves a story.
Yes, sir.
Rise up and aggressively move forward down the path toward victory.
Let's go, y'all. I think that was the end of that. Let's get started for today. Let's get some tools for growth. Tools for mental growth. Let's see who's talking to us for right now. There's two ways to think about mental health, and I think a lot of people don't realize they're stuck in the first one. Let's see what she got. She got 14 minutes.
EasyCater is your business tool for food. the best place to order restaurant catering for.
There's two ways to think about mental health, and I think a lot of people don't realize that they're stuck in the first one. Most people believe that you either have depression or you don't. That if you get diagnosed with depression or anxiety, it's like a permanent trait that you have, and that all you can do is learn to cope with it. Now, I don't think about depression or anxiety that way. I think of it on a scale. When your symptoms are severe, they interfere with your life in a big way. And when your symptoms are mild, or when your symptoms go away, it doesn't interfere with your life anymore. Depression and anxiety disorders can actually be resolved when we chip away at them. And thinking about them this way gives us agency. It gives us power to change our own lives. Now, research shows that we can absolutely influence our mental health in huge ways. So, for example, daily aerobic exercise can decrease depression and anxiety symptoms for over 75% of people. Eating a healthier diet can decrease your risk of depression by up to 35%. Changing how you think, like going to therapy, helps 60 to 80% of people. One study showed that for people with depression, when they treated their insomnia, 87% of them saw their depression symptoms completely resolve. Using a therapy light or practicing meditation can be more effective than medication at treating depression and anxiety. But the problem is that all of these changes are hard, and they can feel super overwhelming when you're drowning in anxiety or overwhelmed by depression. And then often when we get really motivated to improve our lives, we try some huge change. We make some plan to run a marathon, or we sign up for 5 a.m. CrossFit sessions at the gym, or we start some new diet. And while you can willpower yourself to make these changes for a little while, willpower usually just doesn't work as a long-term strategy. Then the bigger changes you want to make, the more exhausting a term strategy.
Right about that, girl.
Then the bigger changes you want to make, the more exhausting and overwhelming they are, which disincentivizes you from continuing them. It gets harder and harder to do them instead of easier. So while you can willpower your way to doing them for a while, the most likely outcome is that you get exhausted and you quit, and then you're more discouraged than when you start. So making these huge changes rarely works. Sometimes it does, but it just can't be your only strategy. Now, I love to give people tons of options to improve their mental health, but I know that this can be overwhelming. So in this video, let's talk about tiny yet powerful strategies that actually reward you for doing them. They make your life easier instead of harder. And then you get feeling better and you get more energy, and they become easier to do because they're habitual. And then with that extra energy, you can add another on. And instead of feeling more and more tired, you actually feel more and more energetic and resilient. Okay, so in this video, you'll learn about tiny changes that take a few minutes a day to build atomic habits for mental health.
Therapy in a
Okay,
nutshell.
small changes are better than big changes. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits,
Hey, welcome to another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man. Good to be in here. We had a little technical difficulty a couple seconds ago, but we back in here nonetheless. I'm gonna go ahead and get y'all motivation for the day. Let's get it started. If I can find one, I thought I had one.
Grammarly doesn't just help you with polishing your emails, it also lessens the mental load of replying to emails.
I don't care how good you are, I don't care how talented you are, I don't care how much you work on yourself. There are some times when things aren't going to go right. There are times when anything that can happen will happen.
Life happens. The unexpected, the uncalled for, the unintentional. We've been damaged emotionally, damaged spiritually.
It may be your business. It may be your heart that is broken today. It may be the number in your bank account that is screaming, you are broke.
You can break physically, you can break mentally, you can break your heart, you can break your spirit, and all of those are gonna leave a mark. But the mark that they leave can be the mark of victory or it can be the mark of defeat.
It is staying with the breaking that produces the blessing. It is not what you go through that determines where you end up. It's who you listen to. Because I think right now, you are walking through a valley between two voices. One is wisdom, one is worry. One is gratitude, one is grumbling. One is blame, one is faith.
Because every time you break, and in every way that you break, it's a chance for you to give up and for you to fall apart. But there's also opportunity to get stronger and get smarter and get faster and get tougher and get more stable and get more resilient and get better.
What I need you to do is I need you to find a reason to keep going. And if you can find a reason to keep going, I know you're strong enough to do it because you're human. And every human has what it takes to get past whatever they're going through if they decide to. Push through it. Push through it. Tragedy and trials come to everybody. Only the strong survive.
The fight isn't over. The fight is just beginning. You have the opportunity to show the world what you are really made of.
I need you to look at that sickness that's going on in your life right now, whatever it is. I want you to say, I can beat it. I can beat it. I will beat it. I must. I got a family to live for. I ain't through yet. My life ain't over yet. There's some things in life you don't need no degree for. You don't need no money for it. You don't need no support for it. There's some things in life you just gonna get through when you tell yourself, I'm gonna get through this.
Regardless of what happens to you in life, regardless of the adversity, regardless of the opposition, regardless of the trial and tribulation, nothing can stop you. The only thing that can stop you is you. No situation, no circumstance, no piece of adversity can define your life. Never let a circumstance define you.
And I'm not retreating. I'm not running. I don't care what they say on paper. I don't care if you say we outnumbered. We live by this and we die by this. We don't retreat. We don't run. We gonna stand, we gonna live, and we gonna die by what we stand for, and everybody gonna know what we represent and what we're a part of.
I got staying power. I got staying power.
Be encouraged today that no matter what you walk through, no matter how broken your marriage is, no matter how many times you failed,
there is within you a spirit that is greater than whatever is going on around you.
If you would be willing to fight your way through this battle, fight your way through cancer, fight your way through that academic struggle, fight your way through divorce, fight your way through it. If you are willing to fight your way through that singing career, fight your way through boxing, fight your way through football, I'm telling you, at the end of the fight is going to come victory.
And as you crawl up and out of that dismal and wretched place, as you rise above what you were, and as you take the form of who you are supposed to be, you will see that in the very act of standing up, in the very act of fighting on, you will become and you will remain unbroken.
So today, we growing from failure. On Find Your Way Wednesday, so how to grow from failure. Let's see what's up.
When it came time to take things to the next level, I knew that I had to make a website, and Wix was perfect for that.
I have failed far more times than I've succeeded. Far more. You will never succeed more than you fail. That's not how it works. You know why? Because failure is a wonderful teacher. It's the only way to learn. You have to fail. Failure is a part of the process to becoming successful. I tell people this all the time. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player in the world, he took 946 game-winning shots. 946 times since he was in high school, the ball has been in his hand to take the game-winning shot with no time on the clock. He has only made 146 of those. He has missed over 700 times, but he has made 146. You know what they write about? When he make it. They write about when you make it. So guess what? When you get through failing, all you got to do is make one. All you got to do is make one. I've had in my career probably a total of, I've been to over 200 pitch meetings to pitch ideas in Hollywood. Out of those 200, they have picked 5 of them. 200 meetings, 200 show ideas, they've picked 5 of them. But you know what them 5 was? Hits. So you know what they made me? A star. I only had 5. I only hit 5. The rest of the shows I had somebody thought of and asked me to be on the show, and I might have turned it into a hit. But I've only been picked, 5 of my ideas got picked. In 33 years, 5 ideas got picked. All I need is 5 hits. That's all. Y'all don't even know I was in them other meetings. They don't write about it. They just write about my hits. You just need a hit, man. So when you fail, it's a part of the process. Keep going. You're supposed to fail. Shit, who you know that gets it right all the time? That's impossible. You have to fail. Matter of fact, when you fail, be glad about it. Every time you fail, you're one step closer. So every time you fail, say, whew, got that out the way. Go to the next one. Fail again, okay, I got 2 out the way. What's gonna happen is if you just keep swinging, you're gonna get a hit. A baseball player gets paid millions and millions of dollars for a 300 batting average. That means out of every 10 times he goes to the plate, he only hits the ball 3 times.
Right.
I think I just won my taxes.
Oh yeah?
I just switched from TurboTax to H&R Block. It was so easy.
You mean I don't have to go back through all this to switch?
Nope.
It's easy to switch. We've all experienced setbacks in life, but why do some people bounce back from failure while others give up? Perhaps you didn't get the job you wanted, or failed an important assignment. Whatever the reason, failure can be a painful experience, but it can also be an opportunity to grow. 3 decades of psychological research suggest your response has a lot to do with your mindset. But what are mindsets? Mindsets are beliefs we hold about our qualities, like intelligence. They lie on a continuum from fixed to growth. People with a fixed mindset believe that intelligence and talent are innate and set in stone. There's nothing you can do to change it. Whereas people with a growth mindset believe they can learn new skills through practice and through effort. To illustrate the difference between these mindsets, let's imagine that you want to improve at chess. If you believe you can improve with practice and effort, you will want to play more challenging opponents so that you can learn from them and from your mistakes. However, if you believe your ability is fixed and you've either got it or you haven't, then you will want to avoid challenges and quit when things get difficult because failure just proves to others that you're not good enough. Instead, you may look for easy wins to prove your ability to others and avoid working hard so that others think your talent comes naturally. While a fixed mindset is about proving your ability, a growth mindset is about improving your ability. So how can we develop a growth mindset? The first thing we can do is understand that mindsets and our brain can change. Neuroscience has shown that our brains are malleable and grow as we learn new skills, similar to the way our muscles grow with exercise. In the early 2000s, scientists studied London cab drivers as they learned to navigate central London. Researchers found that a part of the brain called the hippocampus, which is important for long-term memory, had grown significantly in the taxi drivers' brains. In contrast, London bus drivers, who learn comparatively simple routes, did not show the same growth in the hippocampus. But you don't need to be a London cab driver to experience brain growth. Whenever we learn something deeply, like a musical instrument or a new language, we grow new connections in the brain. Through practice and perseverance, we strengthen these connections, making it faster and easier for our brain to send impulses and perform that skill. When we forget to practice or give up entirely, those connections weaken and we gradually lose our ability. With repeated practice and effort, anyone can grow their brain and improve. Next time you face a challenge, try visualizing your brain forming new connections as you learn. In fact, just knowing about the flexibility of the brain changes how we respond to challenge. In a study by Lisa Blackwell and Carol Dweck, 7th grade students who received a 6-week course on how the brain grows with effort showed a significant increase in their effort, motivation, and grades. Another thing we can do is to focus on the learning process over intelligence. In a study by Mueller and Dweck, students aged 9 to 12 completed a problem-solving task and were told that they got 80% of the questions correct. They were then divided into 2 groups. One group received praise for effort, such as, "That's a really high score, you must have worked hard on these problems." While the other group received praise for intelligence, such as, "That's a really high score, you must be smart at these problems." The students who were praised for their effort tended to choose future tasks that were more challenging and helped them to learn. They were more likely to persist, to enjoy the tasks, and perform better in future. In contrast, students praised for their intelligence tended to choose future tasks that were less challenging but helped them to look intelligent. They were less likely to persist. They enjoyed the tasks less and performed worse in future. Think about how you use praise. Remember that praising intelligence or talent reinforces a fixed mindset. Instead, try to focus on the process of learning, which includes working hard, learning from mistakes, and trying new strategies. When we experience failure, it can help to focus on our feelings to see if we can view it from a growth mindset perspective. By asking, for example, "What did I learn from it?" Focus on how you feel when you receive feedback about your mistakes. Do you feel others are judging you or helping you to improve? Can you become less defensive and create more learning experiences? Our mindset is like a story we tell ourselves, and it can have a profound effect on the way we think, feel, and behave. In the face of setbacks and challenges, it's all too easy to tell ourselves, "I'm not good enough." To make matters worse, we're more likely to do this when we're just starting out at something and less experienced. One thing we can do is challenge our fixed mindset voice whenever we hear it. Sometimes just adding the word "yet" can be enough to view things differently. Think about someone you admire. Do they have extraordinary abilities and success with little effort, or did they work hard and use effective strategies? We all face setbacks and failure in life, but it's what we do next that matters. Research tells us that having a growth mindset can motivate us to put in the effort to achieve our goals and view setbacks and failure as a beneficial part of the learning process. After all, it's not the destination that's important, but the journey.
Yes, sir.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so we can make more content like this.
Yes, sir. Let me go ahead and add that to the playlistness. Alright. So those were cliche kind of simple answers. That we can go with. How to cope with devastating loss. Hold on, wait, I want to see that last one. Oh, no. So I don't want to take it there. I just want to take it with loss of finances. let's go there.
1 week ago today, I uploaded a video and I let you guys know that the motorcycle that I had sitting back here in all my videos got stolen from me. And from that bad experience, I learned a valuable lesson which I would now like to share with you guys. What's going on, guys? My name is Robert. Welcome back to my channel. So if you guys are new here, I used to have this motorcycle that I use as a prop in the back of all my videos, and I also love that motorcycle with all my heart. It was just like my baby. Someone literally came up to my house in the middle of the night, came to my back door, and they literally stole it from me right under my nose. I felt very exposed, very vulnerable about that whole entire situation. And I must admit that I took a big, huge loss with that bike. So I didn't have full coverage on the motorcycle, and many of you guys were like, okay, this kid's an idiot, why didn't he have full coverage? Well, in my mind, when I bought the bike, I bought it off Copart, and I was thinking, I was like, dude, if I get in a wreck on this motorcycle, I'm probably gonna die on it anyway. I don't wanna get full coverage. Like, I didn't see it as something that's necessary. That was just my stupid thought process when I went to get the bike registered and like all that stuff. So at the end of the day, you know, there are so many things I could have done differently to prevent the bike getting stolen from me, but at this point, I'm just sat here with a fat L, and that's all it is for me. Like, lost all the money I put into it. I'm probably never gonna see the bike. It's probably getting parted out as we sit here. And as you guys watch this video, the bike is probably getting stripped of all of its parts, and I'll never see the bike again. After, you know, that all went down, I spent 2 whole days, 2 entire days, just feeling sorry for myself, just in a bad spot mentally, in a bad spot emotionally. I'm just like unmotivated to do anything, and that is why I'm making this video. I want to address what I went through and how getting up and getting back on your feet when you take an L, like, it could be a financial loss, it could be something, you know, like in life doesn't always end up being what we thought it would be, or like just certain things come up and we don't know how to deal with them. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is something bad happens to them and they experience something extremely negative and they don't know how to recover from that emotionally or mentally. I always like to be optimistic about everything that I encounter on a day-to-day basis. And I think because of that, I've been able to achieve a lot of success at an early age, and I've just been able to do things the right way and do them with a positive outcome. And I always win at things that I do. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I really believe that it's because of my mindset. And so after my motorcycle got stolen from me, it was like the first bad thing I can honestly say has happened to me, like in the past 3 years. Like, believe it or not, everything I ever went out to do, everything I ever tried, everything that I ever did, I ended up succeeding at it. I was super good at it, and that's sort of been my life up until this point. And I didn't know how to react when something like this happened to me. So I literally laid in bed, looked at the wall, and took a depression nap for 2 days straight. Like, I just didn't get up out of bed, which is a super dangerous thing for me because I'm the one that's controlling my schedule. I'm the one controlling my time and how productive I am with it. There's no one telling me what to do. And therefore, me sitting around and feeling sorry for myself isn't gonna help me make more money to get a better bike. It's gonna help me get to my goals, which I started the year off kind of in a rough spot because of that. And I wasted 2 entire days that I had, you know, planned out. I had a schedule for the day. I had an idea of what I needed to get done, and I didn't do anything. And now I'm 2 days behind trying to play catch up. So I found this quote, and it goes something along the lines of, it's how you deal with failure that determines how you achieve success. And I want to just share that with you guys today. And that's the main point of this video. Is I understand that things happen in life and things may not seem fair in your current situation or with whatever, you know, you're dealing with. I know everyone deals with something, even though if they don't want to admit it. Even people that seem to have it all figured out, they all deal with internal struggles. And therefore, any of you guys that are hit with something hard and you feel like, hey, this is not fair, why is this happening to me? Just know that the faster you can rebound, the faster you can get back on your feet, that's what'll determine how you achieve success. You know, most of us, we deal with financial losses, like in the business world. I'm sure any of you guys watching this that are business minded, you guys have experienced some sort of loss where it's things that didn't turn out the way you planned them to, and you put money into something and it didn't pan out. Well, get over that loss as quickly as possible. And it's easier said than done, and I can tell you from experience, like up until this point, this is all I preached to people, this is all I like believed in my heart, but until it actually happened to me, you know, I didn't really know how hard it actually is to get back on your feet with something like this. And I hope you guys really take this to heart and just know that if you deal with something that seems like, you know, this is the whole world is turned against me, like this can't be real, just get back on your feet from that as fast as possible, and don't let it take any more of your time. Don't let that loss take any more of your mindset or take any more of like your emotional well-being. The update on the bike, it's gone by this point. Like at this point, I doubt the cops will be able to trace it. It's, you know, it's just one of those things that I'll have to deal with. And in my mind, I'm just gonna have to work twice as hard and get a better bike, a bigger, better bike in the end. So, you know, that's my motivation now. I'm fine emotionally at this point. I guess a week later, I can say that I'm not hurting anymore. You know, it's still a little bit of pain there, but I just want you guys to know that you guys have the power to get back on your feet, and you guys, it's all part of your mental strength and your mindset. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, and to all my new subscribers, welcome.
I definitely left a like, bro, but I feel you on that. Ain't like you can just bounce right back. Sometimes you have to take, well, not sometimes. You have to take that break. There's no way you can just say, oh, nah, I'm good.
It's Pod's biggest sale in history. Save up to 30% on moving and storage until May 19th. And see why Pods is America's #1 container moving company. Whether you're relocating or renovating, save up to 30%.
Shauna starts us off this hour in Austin, Texas. Hey, Shauna, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
Okay. Right now I'm riddled with a lot of guilt on some former spending habits, and I need to give you a little background, and hopefully you can point me in the right direction. But a couple of years ago, I went through a divorce. I got the house, and I couldn't afford it, so I was going to sell it. I moved out into a cheaper place, and a week later, the place that I moved into burned down, so I had to move back into the house I couldn't afford. So I had to use a lot of my insurance money to make ends meet, but I also mismanaged it and spent it on things that I could have done without. I did replace a lot of things, but you know, I did a little bit of travel, and I'm feeling really guilty now, because now that was 3 years ago, and here I am looking at, once I sat down and have penned out my budget and my debt, I could have almost paid off everything but the house. And so now I'm riddled with that guilt, and I'm also worried that I'm not going to be able. I have another settlement coming soon. I hope that is going to help me put a dent in my debt, but I'm really afraid that I'm going to mismanage what I have coming to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, do you feel like you've learned your lesson?
So much to the point where I'm physically sick about it.
Then why would you feel like you're going to mismanage the next one?
Because I've.
Sounds to me like you learned your lesson. Yeah. Why would you think you're going to mess up again?
Yeah.
If history repeats itself, I know I don't want it to repeat
why would
itself.
you? I mean, are you that out of control personally?
No, I don't.
That you can sit here and have one conversation with me about how bad you feel about overspending, and then think you're going to go do it again. That's inconsistent.
Yes,
isn't
sir.
it?
Yes, sir.
That is inconsistent.
Yes,
now that you say that, yes,
I don't think you're going to do it again. I think you've had enough.
I do too.
I have had enough.
I'm just listening to you after 20 years of coaching people.
Yes,
I think you've had enough.
Yeah.
I think you had your spree, and you look back on it, and regret tastes bad, and you don't want to have that dessert ever again.
Yes, sir.
That's the truth.
Yeah, and that's good news. That's good news. See, there's a difference between conviction and condemnation. Let's take away the word guilt a minute and replace it, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Condemnation is riddled with guilt and says, I'm a failure because I failed once and I will always be a failure. You've got a little of that going on. But I think you've got more conviction going on, and conviction says, hey, I drove my car in a ditch, and I'm not going to drive like that anymore because I don't like my car in a ditch.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's called learning from experience, and that's what a wise person does. I mean, we've all done stupid stuff. Anybody says they hadn't done something stupid did something stupid when they said that. Because we've all done stupid stuff, right?
Well, but how do I look forward? Because all I can do is sit here and say, I had that cash in my hand.
It's gone.
And I don't have it anymore.
It's gone. It's gone. You know what that is? That's tuition to the school of life. You paid tuition. You've taken that class. You don't have to take it again. You've already passed it.
Okay, so
Hey, let me give you an example, okay? By the time I was 26 years old, I had $4 million worth of real estate, $3 million worth of debt, $1 million net worth. I was making $250,000 a year starting from nothing. I was so stupid, I lost every bit of that because of debt. Every bit of it. And just about lost my marriage. Sharon she thought she married Sir Galahad. Turns out she married Doofus, you know? And so she was going to leave, and she just didn't have the money, you know? And so that's where I was. Now, I got two choices coming out of that. I can condemn myself and go, well, that's the definition. I am the guy that filed bankruptcy. That defines my life. Or I can get conviction, which goes, God, stupid stuff hurts. I'm not doing that stupid stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed my direction 22 or 25 years ago, whatever it is now, and changed the direction and said, okay, what dumb things did I do that I'm never going to do again? See, what you need to do is you need to write down your 3 never-agains. There's at least 3 never-agains in your story. Okay? One is when I'm hurting emotionally, I'm not going to make big financial decisions and medicate my pain with spending.
Okay.
Because you did that.
Right.
I read that into your story. Am I wrong?
You are absolutely right. I bought myself out of pain.
Yeah, you did retail therapy or whatever you want to call it. And that's not that unusual, so it doesn't make you really a bad person. But you just need to write that down and go, next time I'm in pain, I put the checkbook up. That's not going to how I'm going to deal with pain. Never again am I going to do that. There's first never again. Second never again is I'm going to make major decisions like housing very slowly, not on impulse and on emotion.
Okay.
Because you told me 3 house choices. All 3 of them were kind of bad. Now, one of them was good, but 2 of them were bad, come to think of it. Moving out and selling was a good idea. House burned down, that wasn't something you did wrong, but moving back in was a bad idea.
Well, I only had to move back in because 1,600 homes in the area burned down as well, and I had a vacant house.
Okay, yeah, well, that didn't give you a choice. Okay. I retract that one.
Community
thing. But what you do is you do an autopsy on the series of events, and you extract from them principles that you apply to your life from now on. How old are you?
38.
You remember your grandpa or grandma talking about the Great Depression? Were they old enough?
I do remember my grandmother talking about it.
You know, she was changed forever by that experience, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, you're changed forever by your experience. And it was a good thing. It made her more frugal and thoughtful about money because she was a child of the Great Depression. You're going to be more frugal and thoughtful about money because you went through a fire and a divorce and you did some stupid stuff in the middle of it that you're never going to do again. You're awesome. I think you're going to do great.
Where do I go from here? I'm afraid to spend money that I have now. Now I'm gripped in fear to spend the money that I have set aside to pay my bills.
That's good. That's okay. But I mean, you're not going to keep
money that I have set aside to pay my bills.
That's okay. But I mean, you're going to keep your lights on, right?
Oh, of course.
You're going to buy food, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't mind you being afraid about other stuff. Slow down.
Right.
It's going to take you a little while to heal from this and make decisions with money on purchases, non-survival purchases, you're going to always be a little tender about because you made bad ones. It's okay.
Okay.
Yes,
you're doing good.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you, listening to you, I think you're going to do fine. I really do. And I'm going to help you. I want you to go through my 9-week class, Financial Peace University. I'm going to pay for it, okay?
Oh, my gosh. Thank you. Oh, my goodness.
Will you learn how to handle money if I do that?
Yes, sir.
Not only will I learn how to handle it, I'll learn how to use it and better my family. And
there you go. And give the class to somebody else someday when you're doing really good. But you just need some confidence again in yourself. And I'm telling you, I don't think you're going to go back. I don't think you'll ever go back. I think you were changed by this.
Yeah, I think so too. That was good. Let's see what's up. Let's see some more.
My name is Caitlin. I am a social media specialist.
The power of making mistakes. Do you enjoy making mistakes? Many people would answer no. In fact, they get upset and discouraged when they make mistakes. But what if you knew that your mistakes actually help you learn, that they can make your brain stronger? According to Stanford University psychologist Carol Dweck, how we think about our brains affects our response to mistakes and setbacks. When people think of their intelligence as something fixed, they tend to see their mistakes as evidence that they just aren't smart enough. They respond to mistakes in a helpless way, giving up and avoiding anything that may challenge them. But psychological research shows that students with a growth mindset who believe that their abilities and intelligence can be developed tend to see their mistakes as opportunities to grow and learn. They respond to mistakes with tenacity and resilience, knowing that they can use the mistakes to improve their brains. They know that if things are too easy and they aren't making any mistakes, they aren't learning as much.
Yes, sir.
After all, making mistakes is a normal part of learning. Babies learning to walk have to keep falling to learn how to pull themselves up and put one foot in front of the other. Imagine if as babies we decided that our stumbles meant we simply weren't smart enough to walk and we just gave up. Scientists understand that mistakes are a vital part of learning. When they form a hypothesis and find evidence that refutes it, evidence that indicates that they're on the wrong path, they don't give up. Rather, they know they must try another, different path. The inventor Thomas Edison is thought to have said of his mistakes, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." So how do you develop a growth mindset and learn to embrace your mistakes? You can start by knowing that mistakes are a normal part of learning. In fact, your mistakes often demonstrate you are learning. In addition, when you make a mistake, question what went wrong. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this mistake? For instance, did I make it because I was tired? If so, I can plan to get more sleep next time.
Yeah, right.
Finally, remember that the key is not to make the same mistakes over and over. Instead, learn from your mistakes and try new strategies. Try differently. Making new mistakes is one key to learning. We won't all grow up to be famous inventors or thinkers, but we all have the power within us to improve our brains and make them work harder for us in whatever we do.
With Geico, we can easily bundle home and car.
Let's get one more of them in there. Ooh, how to study.
During their training, medical residents learn countless techniques, surgeries, and procedures which they'll later use to save lives. Being able to remember these skills can quite literally be a matter of life and death. With this in mind, a 2006 research study took a class of surgical residents learning to suture arteries and split them into two groups. Each received the same study materials, but one group implemented a small change in how they studied them. And when tested 1 month later, this group performed the surgeries significantly better than the other residents. We'll discuss the secret to that group's success, along with 2 other highly effective study techniques which can be applied both in and out of the classroom. But to understand why these methods work, let's first unpack how the brain learns and stores information. Say you're trying to memorize the anatomy of the heart. When you're introduced to a new concept, the memory is temporarily encoded in groups of neurons in a brain area called the hippocampus. As you continue to learn about workings of the heart in class or study its chambers for an exam, you reactivate these same neurons. This repeated firing strengthens the connections between the cells, stabilizing the memory. Gradually, the knowledge of heart anatomy is stored long-term, which involves another brain area known as the neocortex. How information is transferred from short-term to long-term storage is still not completely understood, but it's thought to happen in between study sessions, and perhaps most crucially, during sleep. Here, the new knowledge is integrated with other related concepts you already know, such as how to measure heart rate, or the anatomy of other organs. And the process doesn't end there. Each time you recall heart anatomy, you reactivate the long-term memory, which makes it susceptible to change. The knowledge can be updated, strengthened, and reintegrated with other pieces of information. This is where our first study technique comes in. Testing yourself with flashcards and quizzes forces you to actively retrieve knowledge, which updates and strengthens the memory. Students often prefer other study methods, like rereading textbooks and highlighting notes, but these practices can generate a false sense of competence, since the information is right in front of you. Testing yourself, however, allows you to more accurately gauge what you actually know. But what if, while doing this, you can't remember the answers? Not to worry, making mistakes can actually improve learning in the long term. It's theorized that as you rack your brain for the answer, you activate relevant pieces of knowledge. Then, when the correct answer is later revealed, the brain can better integrate this information with what you already know. Our second technique builds on the first. When using flashcards to study, it's best to mix the deck with multiple subjects. Interleaving or mixing the concepts you focus on in a single session can lead to better retention than practicing a single skill or topic at a time. One hypothesis of why this works is that, similar to testing, cycling through different subjects forces your brain to temporarily forget, then retrieve information, further strengthening the memory. You may also find connections across the topics and better understand their differences. Now that you know how and what to study, our final technique concerns when. Spacing your review across multiple days allows for rest and sleep between sessions. While offline, the brain is actively at work, storing and integrating knowledge in the neocortex. So while cramming the night before the exam may seem logical, after all, won't the material be fresh in your mind? The information won't stick around for the long term. This brings us back to our medical residents. Both groups studied the surgery for the same amount of time, yet one group's training was crammed in a single day, while the other more successful group's training was spread over 4 weeks. The reason all three of these study techniques work is because they're designed with the brain in mind. They complement and reinforce the incredible way the brain works, sorting through and storing the abundance of information it's fed day after day. If you find it difficult to reach a state of flow while you're studying, maybe we can help. Watch.
If you want to be a nurse and you want to graduate as fast as possible, ECPI is the place to do it.
Start soon.
A tennis player wins her second straight set, feeling like she can predict her opponent's next move. A musician works to master a chord progression unfazed by mistakes as he repeatedly plays the same 4 bars. A scientist fails to notice her morning alarm blare from the next room, having analyzed data through the night. While each of these people is immersed in a different activity, requiring specific skills and knowledge sets, all three are experiencing what is known as flow, a unique mental state of effortless engagement. And while you may not be a scientist or professional athlete, anyone can find flow. This is a good thing, as those who more frequently experience flow report higher levels of positive emotions, creativity, and feelings of accomplishment. Further, research has linked it to increased productivity, enhanced learning, and academic achievement. But what exactly is flow? And how can we find it in our daily lives? Flow is more than just concentrating or paying attention. Psychologists go so far as to define flow as an altered state of consciousness, with several defining features. First, those in flow tend to feel so effortlessly engaged in a task that time seems to fly by. They are not easily distracted. In contrast with cycles of procrastination, when it can feel impossible to start an activity, during flow, it can feel difficult to stop. Flow also tends to diminish feelings of worry or self-judgment, in turn fostering creativity. And people report experiencing a sense of oneness with what they're doing, allowing for peak performance. Further, brain imaging studies have shown that flow is accompanied by changes in neural activity, notably in regions that play a role in attention, self-awareness, and self-consciousness. Despite decades of research, many questions still remain. How do the brains of those in flow compare to those in other states of consciousness, like meditation? Does flow arising from physical activities like sports recruit the same brain areas as more mental tasks like writing or math? And scientists are still working to understand why certain activities are more likely to elicit flow than others. While we don't know for sure, there are several theories. For example, people more often report finding flow when doing things they find intrinsically motivating, meaning activities they find purpose, meaning, or enjoyment in. This may include participating in a favorite hobby, but also tackling gratifying assignments at work, studying topics you find interesting, or even completing satisfying chores. Likewise, it may be more difficult to find flow in tasks you do only because you have to, not because you want to. Other research suggests balancing personal skill level with the activity's challenge is key for finding flow. In other words, if a task is too easy, you may get distracted or feel bored. If it's too challenging, you may become discouraged. The classically mesmerizing game of Tetris, for example, keeps skill challenge levels in balance by increasing the fall speed of blocks as players get better at the game. Still, other studies suggest that it's most important that activities have clear goals and allow you to assess your progress along the way.
Actors, we can make you believe we know what we're doing, when in fact, we do not. Whoops, I have no idea what these buttons do.
No one is too busy. It's only a matter of priorities. If it keeps you happy, keep it quiet. Be careful who you trust. Salt and sugar look the same. Don't depend too much on anyone in this world, because even your own shadow leaves you when you are in darkness. Remember, some of the best times of your life haven't even happened yet. Bad habits are like a comfortable bed, easy to get into, but hard to get out of. Time always exposes what you truly mean to someone. Stay calm. You've been through this before.
Yeah, we're gonna listen to this to take us
You'll
out.
get through it again. Learn to heal without venting to everyone. Time always exposes what you truly mean to someone. You're being judged no matter what. So be who you want to be. Striving for success without hard work is like trying to harvest where you haven't planted.
Right.
If you don't let go of the wrong people, you'll never meet the right people. If you don't control your mind, someone else will.
Advice from old people.
If you are not falling down occasionally, you are just coasting. First, it hurts. Then it makes you stronger. Work at your job and make a living. Work on yourself and make a fortune. There will always be someone who doesn't see your worth. Don't let it be you. Do what no one else can do, and you will become what no one else can become. Remember, 5 years ago, you dreamed about being where you are now. Think about it. If people treat you like an option, leave them like a choice. Value experience over possessions, because memories are the real treasures of life.
Yes, sir.
So many people love you. Don't focus on the people who don't. Playing it safe is the most dangerous thing you can do in life. Never be embarrassed to struggle. There is absolutely no shame in working hard to get to where you want to be. Rowing harder doesn't help if the boat is headed in the wrong direction.
Yes, sir.
Your vision will be blurry, but it will grow clear with time. Take care of your body. Remember, health is another form of wealth. You don't get paid for the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to the hour. Let the improvement of yourself keep you so busy that you have no time to criticize others. Guard well your thoughts when alone, and your words when accompanied. Your strongest muscle and worst enemy is your mind. Train it well. Don't react. Cut them off silently. The fact that you aren't where you want to be should be enough motivation. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most.
Yes, sir.
Stop telling people everything. Most people don't care, and some secretly want you to fail. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Talking without thinking is like shooting without aiming.
Let me guess.
yeah.
You're thinking about going to
thank you,
therapy.
thank you,
And
thank you.
as a therapist myself,
last
of
one was
course
good.
I'm going to say that's a great.
Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail.
Yes, sir.
It's a slow process, but quitting won't speed it up. What comes easy won't last. What lasts won't come easy. Don't ruin a good today by thinking about a bad yesterday. Let it go. Someone else's progress doesn't make yours any less.
Yes, sir.
Small circle, private life, and peaceful mind. Sometimes we create our own heartbreaks through expectation. Just let it be. If it's meant to be, it will happen. Just be real. It saves everyone's time. Don't share your personal life with anyone. Do not let anyone have anything that could harm you. Embrace solitude as a time for reflection and self-discovery. Don't let anyone ever make you feel like you don't deserve what you want. You'll grow mentally weak when your life is too comfortable.
right,
Sharing
y'all.
your accomplishments
We outta
is
here for the day.
essential.
We'll check
But
y'all out
avoid
later.
the pitfall of
Peace.
oversharing every minor success.